news is coming in that they are trying to ban crypto staking in the United States. We heard rumors yesterday from Brian Armstrong, the head of Coinbase, that they're hearing rumors, which is super weird to say. Brian Armstrong, the head of Coinbase, is hearing rumors and doesn't have actual actionable data. Well, it turns out those rumors were confirmed, as today we've heard that Kraken has been being sued by the SEC over this stablecoin yield product, or a staking product. I actually don't have the exact product, but it sounds like Kraken has effectively agreed to shut down this staking service and probably pay a fine to the SEC. And what we're hearing is rumors of a lot of other things changing within the United States around the effectively crypto regulation. What we don't know is what these regulations are. Now, I'm seeing what went from a very euphoric timeline. Oh, everyone missed the bottom, bottom's in, up only, pile in, LEO trades, you missed the bull run, you're too bearish, or you're too bearish, whatever. And then I said, hey, look, like, I've been in the market small. I have not committed more than a few small percentage points of liquidity to this run. Though I will say, after Jerome Powell comes out this week and decides to pump the heck out of risk assets and by extension crypto, and then we get this news cycle, I just think it's a very raw deal for crypto this week, because one of the worst things that can happen is you get a convincing enough rally to get people off the sidelines, and then you nuke them again. And as I told you, this is a stairs up, elevator down market. It can go up slowly, grind its way up slowly, and boom, it falls out with absolutely no warning. In this case, we have a huge news event. Now, as you know, my sort of general approach to regulatory news is that long term, once regulations do feel like they are soundly, protecting, quote unquote, the crypto ecosystem, more money will flow in. So long term, I do think that regulations can be very bullish for the industry. However, what we're seeing right now is a bunch of speculative, non-fact based assumptions about the market. And this was as Bitcoin had been kind of going sideways, not with a ton of momentum, but needing a little bit more. I was actually going to put out a video today on some stuff that the Fed is doing, which almost led me to believe that the Fed is trying to inject a little bit more support for risk assets over the near term. But I was making it very clear in that video that this is a super, very complex, very advanced level of the market. And this is what I've been saying since the beginning of the market is people who are not super actively managing their positions are probably going to get burned on this one, because the market's moving so fast, both to the upside, and then it will move extremely fast to the downside. Again, the vision for crypto is one of long-term growth at this point. I've been saying this since a year now, pretty much, which is we need to be looking pretty far out, especially after the FTX collapse, especially after all the collapses last year. Like, we need to really be understanding that the true return to health for this market could take quite a bit of time. And it's a very long-term game. And that, all of these little events along the way, they don't really, they don't really hurt you unless you have a very short-term view of what success looks like in this industry. In my opinion, people who are dabbling around in crypto should be looking at 3+ years as to how they're going to manage their positions. And this is why I've been saying, look, if you want to get into the market, you DCA over a long period of time, over years. That way, if the price spikes one week, you feel good about it. But if it dumps the next week, you haven't just completely committed to that price point. Again, I don't have the exact pieces of news that are going to come out yet, so I can't tell you how serious this stuff is, what it means. It does feel as though this is some reciprocation of sorts for the stuff that happened around FTX. We know that the SEC is trying to move very aggressively right now, but we really don't know anything else. I've heard some things, but not a ton has been confirmed. So what I think the best thing to do is right now is to, one, have taken a very sound approach to this new rally, which is a long-term one. And if you're thinking long-term, 10 years out from now, a few years out from now, this stuff all gets resolved, and this is not going to affect Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin, most likely growing in value over the coming currency devaluation period, which will happen at some point. They will devalue currency and Bitcoin will grow against the US dollar. I believe that. And if that happens, that'll be very good for the entire crypto ecosystem. So in my opinion, what we're looking at is, once again, something I talked about right after the Luna collapse, which was that we'll most likely be looking at a wave of regulatory FUD. And this feels like that wave. The question is, what exactly are going to be the implications? And we don't have those answers yet. When we do start having those answers, we can actually make more informed decisions. But what am I doing on a day like today? I'm sitting on my hands, because usually when there's a big emotional reaction in the market, jumping in at the peak of the emotion is usually the way that I've lost the absolute max amount of money. Again, I encourage you to please do your own research in all these situations, just as I have for many years now. I try to cover the markets as I see it, but I am not, I don't have any superpowers here. I just tell you what I think is going to happen based on my experience, and I try to be as super transparent with you as to like where I'm coming from. But I always encourage you to please use this as a starting point for your research and make all your own decisions, because in the end, this is a crazy market to endure. And anyone who has success in this market, I believe you deserve it tremendously. It's a super, super hard market to deal with, the ups and downs. But the rewards are justly excellent when the market is generous. So again, we don't know what's going on with the crypto ban. It feels like there's a staking ban that they are trying to implement, whether that's just at the exchange level, meaning that you can't stake through Coinbase, but effectively people will need to direct stake on the blockchain. I mean, in the end, they won't be able to stop people from staking directly to Ethereum or staking directly to other decentralized finance ecosystems like Lido or the like, Rocket Pool, stuff like that. But the question is, what is the goal of this current wave of regulation? Is it DeFi focused? Is it staking focused? Is it stablecoin focused? Are there other things that we're going to learn? And the biggest thing that I have to say is we have none of that data yet. So for people to be making rash decisions, I think that's not the way. Again, I've said since the beginning of this rally, I expect for it to evaporate like dried ice. I expect for it to just disappear at one point. That's just been my gut feeling. This is not, I didn't know there was any kind of regulation coming during this week. We could have assumed there was something coming after FTX. In the end, we know that the market's super unstable. We know that in general, the goal of the Federal Reserve, the stated goal of the Federal Reserve, is to remove liquidity from the markets. And so as the markets rally, the real question is like, when is the liquidity going to dry up? I'm not saying the rally's over. I actually don't know that. I can't help, because I've seen so much of this, wonder whether or not this dip has broken enough of the critical support for the rally. I think we just have to really see like how deep and how broad what's going on is with the enforcement actions. In the end, this is to me not something that I knew was going to play out exactly in this moment, in this time period. But when you take a very long-term approach and you manage your position size, meaning you take only a few percentage points at a time into the risky stuff, if these days do happen, it really helps you stay unemotional. Because once you get emotional and once you start getting really freaked out by the markets, it's impossible to make good decisions. Impossible. Anyway, markets go up, markets go down, builders keep building. And as always, I'm an optimist that crypto is going to make the world better in a lot of ways, and that there will be a regulated future for crypto in which, the beautiful blockchain future emerges. For now, it seems as though there is quite a bit of activity, and we just need to know, in a market that's overall bearish, even though there's been a rally, the overall very high time frame trend has been a bear market. Bad news is a catalyst to the downside. Bad news isn't even so effective in the bull markets, right? It's mostly that bull markets react to bullish news really aggressively. In bad markets, bullish news doesn't really do much, and the bad news tends to catalyze big moves. So my big fear was that we were going to be rallying up into a massive drop. I'm not sure yet if this is going to break the 20K range or whether we're going to get another wave up before we get a big hammer down. In the end, my approach to this market at this point is a very tortoise game, slow and steady, just slow and steady. Don't get overly FOMO'd when things pump hard, and don't get overly fudded out when things dump hard. There's going to be a lot of chop over the coming year, 2 years, 3 years. And the real question is, what products and services and breakthroughs are going to be the things that people rely on and that makes their day better, that makes their life better? Those products and services, those protocols, those networks, will most likely be incredibly valuable in the future. And I'll be trying to cover this industry and bring my insights around what is important to humanity, what is a breakthrough, what is an evolution. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about crypto gaming. It's very exciting. Obviously, there's been a lot of AI trends going on lately. Obviously, AI is a big trend, but I do think that it's mostly a meme in the crypto space for now. We'll see if there's any protocol that does actually have any meaningful way to make AI better or serve the customer better. For now, seeing protocols that were years and years old that had no real active community or something just pumped because AI became trending, that to me is more of a red flag, obviously. Anyway, as always, I'm trying to bring a strong dose of sobriety to the markets, both on the upside and the downside, right? It's never as good as it looks, and it's never as bad as it seems. And with that, I'm Elio Trades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.